Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning.
How are you, my friend?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for asking, my friend. What'd you do with your day yesterday?
What in the world? What?
What did you do with your day yesterday, Matthew?
Oh, yesterday. What did I do with my day? What did I do? Ran some errands. Uh, took some pictures of stuff for eBay. Uh,
Ooh, how's that going?
how it goes. Yeah. And yeah, that was most of the day, really. I wasn't planning to go out at all, but I had some packages to pick up, so I was like, all right, I'll just
Well, I mean,
do that,
either
run
way.
around, managed to get home before the roads got crappy. So
Yeah, I went out on the driveway and it's a goddamn skating rink.
yeah, I only got some stuff to go out for today, and not super excited about it, but
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. It's kind of a bunch of bullshit. Um, I could do. I mean, I don't mind snow. I can do without freezing rain,
yes, yes,
freezing fog, and all that other shit. All right. So I did some more thinking about what we talked about.
okay,
I added Father Time.
okay,
I found an interesting character named Zebulon McCandless from Wildstorm,
okay.
who like ran a project called like Project 666. He was like a
Oh yeah, yeah,
Christian conservative guy, but apparently had a group of heroes underneath him called the Paladins.
yeah. Yep.
I'm kind of intrigued by these characters, so I kind
I
of want
will I will dig that book up for you and
to.
lend it to you because it's solid and it's got Chris Sprouse art, so it looks
Oh, I
good.
love Chris Sprouse art. So I
Uh,
thought about maybe them being a potential thing to use. So one thing I tried to think about really hard was like,
I was like, why do I know the name Zebulon McCandless? It's it's a unique name, but I was like,
it is.
how does that why is that clicking for me? It's like, yes, I did read that book. I did buy that book.
So I've been thinking about like how the GPA would like kind of be structured, and my thought was like terrorist cells almost like the Rebel Alliance before it was Rebel Alliance. We have this cabal that meet, but underneath them they're separated into different agencies or whatever they run.
Yeah.
So like Father Time no longer has control of Shade. I don't even sure if Shade operates anymore, but instead he basically sits as the primary handler for McCandless.
Okay.
McCandless has no idea that this is what's going on. He just knows he has an operator he has to report to.
Okay.
He doesn't know it's Father Time at all. Henry Bendix, who I'm shocked we have not seen return in the DC universe as a big time villain. Because man, he is a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
He is a monster. So I gave him instead of Stormwatch Team Achilles, which was just another version of Stormwatch at one point. And I am very intrigued by these three characters. Rose Tattoo was apparently the avatar of murder.
Yep. Rose Tattoo was really interesting, and
Eminence of Blades, I thought it was interesting, and the projectionist as
in
well.
love with Rose Tattoo.
Yeah,
Bendix was.
which is really creepy. So Peacemaker or Peacekeeper Mark One was a member, but apparently died in Batman.
Oh yeah, I think yeah. Yep.
So my thought is this is Mark 10. This is just they've
Nice.
continued to evolve the Peacekeeper program.
Yes.
And I kind of felt like maybe they wouldn't even be one character. It would just be like a bunch of like clones with different numbers associated to them. Because I've always liked villains like Multiplex.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just make a bunch of me. Good luck finding the real one.
Yeah, I did love that recurring bit in the Midnighter book.
Yeah.
He's like, you're my favorite.
You are my favorite guy.
Because
I was kind of hoping that in that book that he would just hire him and be like, listen, you're just doing this for money, right?
yeah.
So like, why not? Like, I will pay you. I just need ways to get out this. when I've got downtime. So
Yeah, maybe if it had kept going, I don't know.
I love that idea though of like so here's the thing that I was kind of thinking about a lot is first of all, I had forgotten this existed, but I ran into articles referencing Salvation Run.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of want to use that at some point. As like because the planet's still there.
True.
To my knowledge. But I like the idea of like, it's just where we stuck our supervillains for a while, and then they joined into tribes and basically went fucking Lord of the Flies on each other. Why? Because they're supervillains. That's why. And also that it was a planet apparently that was not where they were supposed to be because the place they were supposed to be, the League had checked out, and it was fine. But this was the planet where Desaad was like, hey, this is where I send parademons to train. So fuck yeah. I love Director Bones, and I guess at one point he ran Stormwatch.
Oh.
So it's really hard to figure out DC and Wildstorm's actual continuities because it seems to change every time there's a reboot.
Yeah, because they keep trying to jam them in there. So there's a bunch of different ways that they've been incorporated that isn't necessarily, consistent.
So I like
the whole DC continuity in a microcosm because every they didn't have
when you reboot
40 years of continuity before all the weird screw ups.
When you reboot your continuity constantly, I mean, it doesn't help. So I also really like Nina Mazursky as just like she's not really a combatant, but like a field scientist. So apparently at one point these characters were all part of Stormwatch Underbones. I like the idea of putting that back together and maybe adding one or two or also I didn't know about Phantom One until I read up on this. What an interesting little character that guy is.
I'm trying to remember if I've read anything with Phantom. Oh,
he was Ghostmaker's Robin.
Yes.
I don't know much about Flint and Core, but apparently they were both old Stormwatch characters, or at least Flint was.
Okay.
I want to keep the general. I got rid of Sam Lane because I was like, I think Sam Lane is like not such a bad guy that he would be like involved with some of these other assholes.
Right.
What is Lois Lane's sister who was Superwoman for a while?
What? That I didn't know about. I mean, I know about Lucy Lane, but I didn't know she was Superwoman.
So in one of the reboots, there was a Who is Superwoman mystery, and it turned out it was Lucy Lane.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to her.
Let's see here, because I think there's a current Superwoman.
This was like back in 2021.
Yeah, that was. I feel like that was around. I might have been reading some of the Superman books around there, because that was the. Yeah. Oh, she was ordered to kill Agent Liberty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
It doesn't appear like this was ever quite fully resolved.
No, because all the storylines were dropped for New 52.
So my feeling is I kind of want to rope the Unknown Soldier and Lucy Lane in as like underneath the General.
Okay.
I also like the idea of that we don't know who the Unknown Soldier is at all. We maybe we'll never know, but I also like the idea of the Unknown Soldier potentially being like a mole in all of this. I mean, the Unknown Soldier could just be Martian Manhunter for all we know.
Yeah.
DC loves that trope of Martian Manhunter Martian Manhunter, pretend to be villain, hang with villain, get caught.
Yeah.
So like these are two operatives because I kind of look at it like Superwoman, very overt operative, Unknown Soldier, covert operative. So I know, like I said, I want to use Cheng Su, also known racistly as Egg Fu. I like that character, even though I like the modern look of him, where it's just a giant weird yellow egg with all these like General Grievous parts. I also like the idea of Nowhere, which was when they tried to smush Wildstorm into DC, I think the first time, which was where they were doing experiments on kids to give them superpowers, which was something that they picked up in Young Justice as a concept. I like that idea a lot. And then, of course, science.
Kind of, maybe.
It's very Cadmus.
Yeah, I'd have to dig up the book. There was also a bit, and I can't remember if the series got cut short and they didn't actually print the whole thing except as a trade or whatever. But Jeff Lemire and wrote it, and Keith Giffen did the art. It was an Inferior 5 book. And it was a bunch of, it was this like weird town that was, built as like an experiment. And Peacemaker was involved. And
So there's also a weird person named Harvest who apparently worked as the head of Nowhere. And I would keep them as like now underneath that. So like I would want to build the stories where like the people underneath are who you're kind of going after before you start to realize there's someone above that. And then you start to realize, oh, this person has ties. Like, what is all this doing? Nisa Rotko, who is one of Ra's al Ghul's daughters. I like the name Society of Shadows, so that would be like her offshoot of the League of Assassins. Also, the fact that she has ties to Russian oligarchs, and which, she is a bunch of old Rocket Red armors that may or may not just be suicide bombs. We talked about Carl and Gil Ferris. I still want to keep doing that. So one thing I thought about, what if they were the military contractors who got the job of going through Superbia? Which also brings in, we talked about the, not the Ultramen, but
Ultramarines.
Ultramarines.
Yes.
Which I'm going to put in here as well. Because that was another one that Morrison dropped and then would just
left it there, and then
he blew it up during Final Crisis. He was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to do this now. I got a feeling DC's going to fuck this up, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it off the board." I like the idea of Duke of Oils underling being the bureaucrat. Like the bureaucrat is like a Capitol Hill lobbyist, basically.
Sure.
But also like a supervillain lobbyist. A guy who's constantly looking for like meeting with supervillains and basically being like the whole like, hey, you can keep doing what you're doing, but you got to be able to do it within the confines of the system type of thing. I don't know why I find that so appealing. But I also had the idea I had popped in about an hour ago is doing something where like the bureaucrat gets killed like that United Healthcare guy. And then it turns out to be like Vigilante or Peacemaker or someone like that.
Well, it was that great bit in Suicide Squad where Rick Flag.
Also, real quick, I'm not glorifying death here.
Right.
But do a little research and you'll see why I'm all right with that fucking guy getting it. Feel bad for your family, bub, but maybe don't be okay with killing, over 100 people a year so you could line your pockets.
That's
death merchant.
Fewer than I would have figured, but
it's a minimum.
Yeah.
Number.
Anyway, but yeah, that bit in the Suicide Squad run where they were like, or Rick Flag found out that this senator or whatever was going to expose the squad for his own ends, and was kind of already losing it. So he went to go kill him. And Waller's like, "Hey, Deadshot, you need to stop Flag."
Oh, so he shoots the guy. I remember that.
Yeah, because I think Waller was like, "Oh, he's gonna," she's like, "I don't want him to do this, but he's gonna go kill Flag, and that's the only option out." And instead, Deadshot, kills the senator.
Breath of the Duke and other special interest groups, but also is considered. We got to find out that guy's name. Somewhat of a celebrity lawyer for supervillains, like of Johnny Cochran for supervillains. The idea of like his name, the bureaucrat, comes from like the media or something like that, of him going on talk shows and constantly being like, not like Glorious Godfrey, like mind control stuff, but instead just like, well, this is just how America works type of shit. I don't know why that so appeals to me right now, but it does. Mr. Adam, of course, and Nemo, which I've been doing a little bit more reading into Nemo. Nemo's kind of fascinating. And then Agent Osprey, who I have to do some more looking into.
Yeah, he's just kind of an enigma.
I like the idea. I think you said, like, what if Agent Osprey is a title and not a person?
Yeah. The other thing that came up recently, let me see if I can figure it out here.
Like, so the idea of like these bigwigs, they meet, but they are the ones wearing those Global Peace Agency masks, and they never really meet in person. They have proxies that meet for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you watch Young Justice?
The first couple seasons, yeah.
So the light, like we don't know who the light is, we just see.
Yeah.
Which is also something that the Venture Brothers does with their Council of 13.
Yeah.
Except for eventually the Council of 13, the lights come on that time, and you see who everybody is, like, turn my light off. When I can't remember when they start getting offed at that point, which is pretty great. All right, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with that. This is what I was kind of throwing together.
So I recently did find out about an obscure character who actually does exist after, or was introduced after, the Martian Manhunter, but as another Martian. And this was before it had been established that John is the last Martian. But and I don't know that he ever appeared outside of that one book, and it was technically probably out of continuity. But he's this Martian. He comes to Earth to protect people, but they're like, "Oh, weird alien dude, we're going to attack him." And then I think the story is like, "Oh, does he stay like good or not or whatever?" Like, if you wanted to play with that,
yeah, I think that's interesting.
There's something there. I put a link to the book in the chat.
And then I started like just running into weird stuff I was interested in DC, and I thought I'd name a couple things off. I don't have them in here yet, but I did start to write stuff down because all right, let me get to it here. Where's my notes? All right, King Chimera.
Okay.
I think is an interesting cat. He's like a World War II, like spyish guy who dresses like a fancy stage magician. But that was just the king, and then his son is King Chimera, who does the same type of shit. I just think he's interesting.
I remember the king. Vaguely, as he was one of those
Stalker, Claw, and Beowulf. I'm very intrigued by using those three, especially because you could use Claw in two different forms. Because we had a modern Claw during Primal Force. A book that I kind of enjoyed a little bit. I mean, I really like the art for sure, but
I never got. It was one of those things that kind of floated by you, but it's Wolfman and Colin, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go.
Oh, that's a cool looking Martian. Also, Bula the Mystic's neat too. Huh. I will definitely be stealing from that. I was also thinking about like, so the adventure, I think next, I think I put the name of the title in the Discord is going to be Time in the World Enough, which is a riff on a story by somebody called The World and Time Enough. Someone's killing Vandal Savage through time and through hyper time. And it's going to be like a investigation adventure. You have to go talk to these time travelers who all would be good suspects for killing Vandal Savage, which are mainly villains. But I want to bring it full circle to actually what's going on is relates to Demon Knights, which is a book I very much enjoyed. I think I loaned you the trades here recently.
You did. Yep. I haven't had a chance to crack them yet, but
where he's one of the primary characters, and he is so much fun in that book. He is such the quintessential like unkillable barbarian in that, where it's like everything that's new is exciting. Like, oh, I've never eaten this before, or I've never tortured someone like this before. Just he's a character that switches sides. It's like 3 times in a battle.
Yeah,
he's just a shit bag. But he's so excited about everything that it makes it kind of like, why am I rooting for this giant shit bag? Also in that comic, most of the characters are kind of shit bags. Jason Blood is kind of a shit bag. Madame Xanadu is definitively a shit bag for what she's pulling. Etrigan is a complete monster. Horsewoman's cool. Like the characters we had never met before. Like I can't remember what the exiled Amazon's name is, but she's cool. Shining Knight is always cool. And it's the Morrison version of Shining Knight.
Nice.
It's just interesting. Also, we get Mordru, who I love. And I love the idea that Mordru has been fucking around in the DC multiverse for a long time. So yeah, I kind of want to. That's kind of my thing that I want to. I think is the next story. It's just kind of figuring out ways to tie it all together. So one thing I found out is in one of the reboots of Stormwatch ties directly to Demon Knights because of Paul Cornell.
Oh,
so there is a definitive lineage between the two, which would tie that idea, to the GPA, which I kind of like the fact that there's this weird underlying string that a writer put out there that, for us will survive all the continuity changes, but I'm sure someone at DC was like, what? Because at one point I think it is Stormwatch is referred to as like Project Demon Knight.
Oh.
Like there is a direct correlation.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was very like I was very taken by that. But like the villains I'm thinking of, so I'm thinking about like it's the Cronus, the good guy Cronus that is now one of the team's like handlers with support team, who is an enemy of Vandal Savage. Gabriel Walker Cronus is just like, hey, I need you guys to fix this because I can't keep running around and patching time. And it's kind of the idea of like, well, why? Because Vandal Savage is a piece of shit. We should be okay if he gets killed. Well, yeah, but power abhors a vacuum. So someone's doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Also, every time I find his body, it's missing his liver, his heart, and all of the material from the meteorite that makes him Vandal Savage. So it also, it could end up being that Vandal Savage is killing Vandal Savage. I mean, and that's kind of one of the things I want to have laid in as a potential ending. It's like, well, it's just Vandal Savage killing Vandal Savage. because he needs that because he also realizes, hey, I'm going to be around during DC 1 million. So I need all that shit. Oh, I do have toys. My desk is covered with them actually right now. Polar Knights. Here, let me grab my camera real quick. Yeah, my desk is littered with toys right now. And then you can't see all the way in the back corner, but I'm working on a diorama, which I keep saying that every week. And then there's Eternia and some Snake Men. the Matt Lynn Memorial Parts shelf is also in full effect, and then back in the closet are just dudes. It's all filled with dudes. The bookshelf over there is filled with dudes. There's minis up there. So yeah, there's dudes. It's just I got to figure out a better lighting setup, and also, like I said, I want to get that stupid diorama done. But I've been lazy as fuck as far as working on toys lately. So,
I mean, life, man.
Yeah, I'm giving Matt grief constantly because Matt needs to do another video walkthrough.
I do.
Desperately. But I will say, first of all, Matt, I don't know if I'm ever taking this Modulok apart because he's so gross. He makes me so happy. He looks like a like the representation of a virus. But I was thinking if I get my hands on another Hordak, TMNT Hordak, who's got that wing thing, wouldn't it be cool to put that wing thing on a Modulok?
Yeah, it would.
Hell yeah. So yeah, anyway. Sorry. The Polar Knights are right. I need to do a better job with my toy stuff. Currently it's just mess. It's how you like that mess, boys. All right, anyway. So I feel like there's something to that. Like I said, maybe it's Per Degaton, maybe it's a time trapper who apparently now is Doomsday.
Really?
The time trapper is Doomsday.
Okay.
But it's like a super skinny, like emaciated looking Doomsday.
Huh.
Which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Because the time trapper has been a bunch of different people. I also really like the idea of the time trapper constantly changing because time is fluid.
Yeah.
That it's not a singular person because it moves along. Klarn, the Immortal Man. Come on, baby. It's Klarn. And I was like, what if Klarn lived in a...
It's Klarn.
That would be a good shirt to go along with your Robert Zadar shirt. Come on, baby. It's Klarn. Did James tell you? You missed it yesterday. Did James Beard tell you the story about the sandwich story on the plane?
I don't think so. No.
So he was eating sandwiches like on the plane coming back to Minnesota from New Orleans.
Okay.
And he finished the first sandwich, and then he put the second sandwich. He like unwrapped it and started to eat it. And he said he just stopped and looked down at it, and he goes, "That's right, baby. That's the thing." And he said he did this in public in front of people, and he was like, "I will." He was so tired, he didn't even realize he did it. He's like, "Now I can't stop thinking about it." And then there had to have been people on the plane who just went like, "What the fuck? Is that guy talking to a sandwich?" I was like, "This is the greatest thing." I was like, "From now on, every time you eat anything in public, you need to do that." Oh, baby, that's the thing. All right, more Drew, of course, and Madame Xanadu. Because again, Madame Xanadu hates has good reason. Once you read Demonite, you'll know why. He hates Vandal Savage. I also was thinking about an alternative. So two other things, and then I'll get to Star Wars. I promise.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like a Justice League. It was so beautiful. You could jump on you and reenact it if you want, Beardster. It is one of the funniest things I've heard in a while. One would be like trying to come up with a league that is like of all like people seeking redemption who were in a league.
Okay.
So one would be the Dark Flash, Walter West, who I fucking love. I loved that story, and that costume is awesome. Kirk Langstrom Batman.
Okay.
Did you watch Gods and Monsters?
No.
Oh, Matthew,
Matthew,
that one's so good. That's so good. And the guy who does Kirk Langstrom's voice is Dexter.
Oh.
And the whole twist is like he's Batman, but he's a vampire. So like he fucking kills people because he has to. It's real good because that guy, I can't think of his name, the actor's name, has such a detached demeanor and voice.
Yeah.
It's creepy. And you know, it's Riker doing Superman, but he's from South America. So he's like a revolutionary. And then Wonder Woman is a new god who was going to marry Orion, and then instead of Darkseid's group turning at the wedding, it was Highfather's, and they murdered everybody.
Interesting.
And so she fled to Earth. It's really good, and there's a good comic book follow up too. So yeah, and then you know they're a Justice League group who the government is like totally scared of. James trying to finish up a few things. I don't know. Makes sense. Okay, well let's do Star Wars now. And James, don't listen. Cover your earmuffs, James. Earmuffs. I'll come back to this other idea so we can do Star Wars real quick. So Star Wars. I want to talk about pacing really quick. So I have an idea for Star Wars, and I'm very excited about it. But I already just jumped into this thing with the Grysk and the Chiss. And apparently, I've been reading that the Grysk are going to replace the Yuuzhan Vong. Okay, we'll do James. Will replace the Yuuzhan Vong in canon. So those who don't know, the Yuuzhan Vong were a giant enemy in Legends and Star Wars. They're a race from outside the galaxy who can't touch the Force, but like all their ships, everything is biologically built. And they just they fuck shit up. There's like a 20-book series about the Yuuzhan Vong.
So much Yuuzhan Vong.
So the Grysk were already a Star Wars Legends race in the outer regions, in the unknown regions. Who were kind of like not really painted in with a heavy brush yet. They were kind of like the Tong, who are the OG Mandos.
Okay.
And then of course everybody knows who the Chiss are because everybody has Thrawn fever. That's the race that Thrawn is from. And they have their own empire out in the unknown regions called the Chiss Ascendancy. In fact, it's revealed in later stories about Thrawn that he did not flee the Chiss Ascendancy. He was sent by the Chiss Ascendancy to keep an eye on the empire. So he's a mole. And the Chiss are very sneaky that way. And a lot of their vehicles, design, everything is very empire-like because it's thought that they were also stealing design schematics from the empire. So anyway, I've got this thing where they were asked by the Gree to check this thing out because the Gree found a base at the edge of the sector that had been overrun by the Grysk. That was a Chiss listening point.
Okay.
And the Gree blew up the Grysk ship, but then when they had to go into the base to kill them, they just got meat grindered. They eventually won, but it took them forever because the Gree are not built for that type of combat. And they're not letting anybody else in those races know that they are flying around out in the sector doing stuff. The Gree, like, they live on their own space station. They also have a base on the dark side of one of the moons. They're just like, hey, we're doing all this to keep these people safe. Plus, the Gree have like a weird innate desire to build. The other races on Shugo are like, whatever. We're living kind of a utopia down here, so don't fuck this up for us. So the Gree show the PCs this and say, hey, we need help with this. Because we don't want them to know that it's us. Because we don't want either of these sides like just showing up at our doorstep. We're not built for that. We don't have hyperdrive technology. But I want this to be like the PCs notice another like human basically on this Gree base. Because they've all started to realize that Gree have been lying to them in some ways. Like the Gree have technology from their ships.
Oh.
Because they've been taking stuff from, confiscating things from their ships and backwards, making it backwards compatible to their ships. Because these Gree have been brought here by the Rakatans, so they never got a chance to like continue to build. You know, they were used as slaves, so now they're like catching up with where Gree technology would be in the regular universe. Slowly but surely, because they don't have all the same assets that the Gree had. So anyway, long story short, this is Nindrin, and Nindrin is going to be an Inquisitor who basically fled, and not like one of Darth Vader's Inquisitors. They were in the Inquisitorius under Tremaine, and once Tremaine got his hands on Jarek, he was like, well, I don't really need you anymore. And basically, she was then like an attaché to Sly Moore. And if you read the Vader comics, Sly Moore and Vader are always kind of playing this weird game with one another. So my idea is like he kind of steps to her and Nindrin steps in between to defend her, and he just fucks her face, side of her face up. And then Moore, in order to kind of to make things smooth with Vader, is just like, oh, she's force sensitive, you can just have her. So once Nindrin finds out she's going to have to go to the Black Fortress, because I'm kind of got this idea in my head where she wears like a half like mask because like he just basically cut one of her face and her eye completely out and like fucked her up a little bit more. So she's got a bunch of mechanical parts. She flees, but before she flees, she goes into the database and she changes the coordinates that Jarek brought back with him. So she takes the originals and she changes the other stuff just enough that they won't notice. So if they go and try to find Shugo, they'll just end up somewhere else. Because she also knows that Jarek is going through his, reconditioning, so that he most likely won't completely remember how that this has changed at all. So then she's going to go where she thinks they can't find her. So she steals a troop transport ship like the ones that Boba Fett blew up in Mando, because I like that ship a lot. Hollows it out, gets a hyperdrive put in it, finds a bunch of junk droids, puts them on there, goes and has her cybernetics ripped out and put back in so they can't find her that way. So one thing I wanted to have too is she's got like an electronic eye that like is outside the socket, just like floating like a little satellite that then can like go down. I had this image in my head of like an eye going down a corner and looking and then returning and like reattaching. I don't know why. I think of weird stuff, Matt.
Yeah.
But she's not a Jedi. She was never a Jedi. She's not a Sith. She was someone who was force sensitive, who was deemed too old for the trials, and instead became a Terras Kasai fighter. So that's where she was found by Tremaine, who was like, "Oh, this person can fight. Like, I will train them up, and they'll be my bodyguard, basically." So, like with a lightsaber, she's okay. But if you step to her with her hands, she will fucking annihilate you. She's just a really good hand-to-hand combatant. So yeah, she escapes and basically she goes to Shugo, and she agrees like the Gree take her ship, and she's like, I brought all this information with me. I'm hiding where you are at. I'm here to trade. Because one thing she does grab is she grabs as much information on, because she knows that's where the Gree are, as much technological information on the Gree as she can. Because she's like, I'll trade you this for safety.
Yeah.
So she's been there like a month on this space station negotiating with the Gree. Because she has locking systems on her ship where they can't just get in and just take it apart. Not to mention she has a couple of Magna droids on the ship So she's like, I'll trade you all this technology, but you have to give me sanctuary on the planet. This has been going on for a while, and I want them to like catch her like in their eye line and go, whoa, 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 what is that? And then coming back to this whole idea of you have this person who worked for the Empire, who's force sensitive, and who looks at Jedi, with a kind of disdain of like, I was special, but I wasn't special enough. You guys left me. Like my family died in the Clone Wars. I had to fight like in planetary defenses during like a war when I was like 14. And then after that, the only way I could make ends meet is like pit fighting, basically. And yeah, I was good at it, but I can think of all my friends who weren't and just died.
Yeah.
Because of you. Because there's also a little bit of the Imperial indoctrination of like, well, they tried to kill the Emperor, but she also knows, well, that's not quite how that went down. Like, I was the Inquisitive person. I get that, but I also know you did try to kill the Emperor.
Yes.
Your boy Mace Windu did try to kill the Emperor. So I kind of like that idea of you having someone who could be a foil, but have actual like moral ground to stand on. So thoughts, Matt?
I like it. I think you got a lot of good stuff going there, and a lot of different,
And by pushing it too fast, should I wait till this thing with the Chiss and the Grisk is over?
I think you can maybe start to seed some of this stuff, but I do think you should maybe,
because I feel like I'm if I throw it in there now, I'm putting a hat on a hat on a hat.
Yeah.
Before I get the first hat off.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that you've got, all this stuff, and I think the plus right with this is that it seems like you're excited about it. I don't know how excited you are about the other stuff.
I'm excited about. So one thing I've learned about the Grisk now is the Grisk use what they refer to as client races. So I like the idea too of this must have been important because the actual Grisk showed up.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, so the whole thing is they go to this base and they're going to check, but a Chiss ship has shown up in the sector trying to figure out what happened.
Okay.
So they want the PCs to go and like basically let the Grisk know like, hey, we did this, or let the Chiss know we did this. So like you can just leave. Hey, you can go now. Like we're good. We're good. Everything's good here. How are you? Type of situation. But I also want to play it to give them the opportunity where the Chiss might go, oh, you killed some Grisk and protected our base force. How would you feel like? It sounds like you have a place where you're living. What would you think to an ambassadorship on your planet? Like we'll send some people, and then we can have a loose alliance. And the PCs should know just a scant bit about the Chiss, but not enough to know like no. Because the Chiss will send people and then it's just spying. It's just open air spying. Because that's what the Chiss do. They're information brokers. But they also do have a common enemy in the Grisk, because the Grisk are going to come back.
Yeah.
Those in client races this time. But so I've got that. That's the only thing I have. So I was also Star Wars thinking, and I was like, okay, I got a family here, right? And they're prospectors. They find a bunch of Beskar. They get kicked off of their claim by Pius Day missionaries. Because I've mentioned a couple times now, I'm going to use the Pius Day.
Yes.
And my Pius Day will basically be Warhammer 40K Pius Day. Because that's kind of, you read the Star Wars, it really is like someone got 40K in my Star Wars. And I like the idea of them just basically being Space Marines. I mean, it's an entire society built on religion, a space religion. But the family's relocated and tagged in case they find something else of value, and they're just dropped on a planet that the Day think is just like nobody's on it. But there are somebody on it. There's the Tong. Matt, what do you know about the Tong?
I don't know anything about the Tong.
The Tong are the OG Mandalorians.
Okay.
and everyone is pretty sure they're dead. But I'm going to say there's some Tong alive out in the unknown regions, and they're living like predators because it's kind of what the Tong were. They look like their heads kind of look like their helmets a little bit. But the Tong are like a war species. But I'm kind of, my idea is like these Tong have been out here for a long time, living on a variation of the Kree, and they've realized like that once they tried to go back through, it's like, oh shit, we're all dead. So why would we go back? Because there's already people who, foundlings who have taken it on the Kree, so the Mandalorians will live forever. So rather than us going back and then either being looked upon in a weird way and dying out, let's stay out here and just live. So they've been out here like living like predators. Like they do the whole like send people to planets. They live in tribes. They go to planets and hunt. Well, they run into this family and kind of realize between the family and them, like, there's no reason for us to kill each other. It makes no sense. So they start trading. And then they basically kind of adopt the family in. But the family's also well aware, like, hey, we cannot let people know that the Tong are just like out here. But like 2 of the family members have also just taken the Creed. So this is a thing where it would be not quite a one and done, but maybe like a 2 and done.
Yeah.
Of the PCs finding this. And I think this is also the way to introduce the Pious Day.
Okay.
Where they're like, oh, you're not aware of the Pious Day? You should be. But even the Tong going, yeah, we would kill those guys, but there's so many of them. And they're religious zealots. And that's kind of how our race got wiped out to begin with, was fighting wars where we just ran out of people. Because that's really how the Tong died out in Star Wars, was
just
too many wars. They just kept fighting war after war after war. And that's why they started taking on foundlings, because they were like, we don't have enough Tong to fight. But if people want to take the Creed and join, then we will accept you into our society. Like they say in Mandalorian, the Creed's not a religion. The Creed's not our Mandalorians aren't a race, they're a Creed, and it's a religion.
Right.
I like that idea a lot. So anyway, yeah. Thoughts on the Tong and the Pious Day and the Zij family?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta learn more about the Tong here.
The Tong are cool. Did you ever read the old Star Wars stuff in Dark Horse?
Here and there was a lot of it, and so I've read some of it when I was newer into comics.
I think I still have their Tales of the Jedi
but
trade that has the whole Battle of Ossus on it, where the Exar Kun and I can't remember the other character's name, Ulic Quadroma, side with the Tong or the Mandalorians against the Jedi. And at the end, Mandalore dies, and then Tong picks his helmet up and becomes a new Mandalore. Which was the first time I'd ever seen that idea, and I was like, this is incredible. It's just because it was something, West End didn't even talk about that type of stuff in Star Wars. And I got most of my, legend stuff because I played West End Star Wars all the time. So to know like there was Dark Horse was putting out these amazing comics was also incredible. But I really like the Tong. I think they're an interesting race.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them a lot. I do feel like they kind of have a Predator look. I also love their Basilisk war droids. So yeah, I thought it would be something interesting potentially to utilize. Also, kind of like the idea that the unknown regions are a place where people have been there for a while. It's not fucking empty space, and it's not just full of aliens we're not aware of. People have been going out there to hide. And not like large swaths, except for like the Pious Day sending their cathedral ships out there, but like the Tong, like families going out there to explore, to find enemies, basically find new worlds to conquer, type of thing. All right, anyway, so that makes sense. Do you think it has legs?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
The idea that like this group just like ceased to exist entirely is, you know,
That's the same with the Rakatans. You see that, and it's like, well, they're not like, but they are there. We've seen them in other media where there's not
yeah.
a lot of them, but they're there.
Well, and it's always, like, well, okay, yeah, if there's this many freaking, oh, the Jedi were wiped out except for the, 300 that have shown up since.
Yeah. The galaxy is a massive, and now we're not even talking about places in the galaxy.
Yeah, it's
We're
stuff
talking
that,
about places outside the galaxy. So I really do think that should be stuff out there like that.
yeah.
All right, so that's my Star Wars ideas right there. I kind of like where we're going with that. I want to ask one more question. Well, you know what? We can bring Beard in because we're done talking Star Wars. I'm going to put the Beard signal lights.
Beard.
Up. All right. So, kind of one thing that I'm trying to figure out is should I go back to getting back on the adventure path for Star Wars or for Chaos Scar, or should I keep doing my own bullshit and then use the adventure path as somewhere to like go back to when I'm kind of struggling for an idea?
I mean, I think if you've got stuff that's like working for you and that you're liking it, I would say that makes sense. Yes. Like,
Okay.
Go, if you've don't mind that vein, if you don't need to, because
Okay.
It's finite. So,
and I also kind of just want to. So sometimes I'll have like ideas, and and other times like I've been doing a lot of like I'll read through, and like I'll be like, well, I don't exactly care for this,
sure.
but I can see some things in it that I do like, so I'll pluck. I think that's what I'm kind of looking at doing with it, is just kind of plucking.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I just wanted some reassurance.
No, I think if you've got, you've got that. Keep it in your back pocket for when you need it. But if you're not needing it right now, then let it ride.
Right. So the reason, one of the other things, Beard. Hey, Beard, give us that story real quick.
So I recently flew down to New Orleans and connected through Houston, Texas. And on my way there, I don't know if anybody has connected lately, but connecting is a nightmare, and I had a very short connection. So I was hustling. Let's say that.
I have been through the Houston airport, but it's been quite some time.
It's not bad getting from terminal to terminal, but I was hustling. I hustled by Whataburger, which was my grandpa's favorite place to go when I drive over when I lived on the coast to visit him in Houston. And I lamented the fact I couldn't get Whataburger. But on my way back through, I was there for breakfast, which I had never been to Whataburger since they started serving breakfast. And I got a honey butter chicken biscuit because I do love their biscuits. And it was comparable to Wendy's, only just a more southern biscuit style. Quite good, but
he has a picture to prove it.
Yeah, but not as good. I thought it was going to be their chicken patty and their chicken sandwich that they have for like lunch and dinner, which is outstanding. Chicken sandwich, best sandwich at Whataburger, better than the burger. But then I got a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit sandwich, breakfast sandwich, and I unwrapped it and just quietly out loud to myself while sitting there, I go, "That's what I'm talking about." It was so magical. The biscuit was so yummy.
They should just put you in a commercial.
That's what I was saying.
This is it. It's beautiful. You can see like the egg and cheese is like as thick as the sausage. Like everything was just like so well proportioned. It was I took a bite and said, "That's what I'm talking about." Just to myself, just out loud, just delusional. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning. And god damn, that was nice. Anyway. It was lovely. How was all your DC chat and Star Wars chat?
Well, pretty good. I'm
Good.
just writing some other things down in my notes so I can take them off my phone.
Are you caught up on Skeleton Crew King?
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm one episode back. We're gonna watch it today.
All right.
so good.
Yeah.
I have just thoroughly enjoyed it. It feels like Andor or Rogue One to me in that like it's a genre production that just happens to be completely saturated in the Star Wars like universe, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I love that. I think that those are
I
the
would rather
easiest way to get away from the like Skywalker family, you know?
Mhm.
yes. No, I would rather have that stuff than you know. I mean, I'm enjoying a lot of what Filoni is doing, but it it's still there's a lot of that kind of fanfic to it.
Well, it's just everybody has to, like everybody has an opinion about those characters, you know? And everybody has different attachments to them. And so I don't think that they ever get like a fair shake, because if it's not your like flavor of that character or like what you'd like to happen for that character, it's, oh, well, Filoni doesn't know what he's doing, or, oh, he needs George Lucas to balance him out, or, oh, he needs, it's kind of like,
I mean, for me, it's
okay.
not even that. It's more just like the pacing or whatever has seemed kind of off on some of them.
Sure.
It's like these stories don't need to be like structured the way they are.
Yeah.
I get that you probably have a better view into where things are going than we do, but
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with telling a story that has an ending.
Yeah. No, for sure. Anywho, but yes, I very much have enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. The girls are like, are there more episodes? Like, we'll get done with one and be like, can we watch another one? And be like, no, they only come out every Tuesday. It's like, well, what's going to happen? Like next week you like have something on Wednesday and Thursday, and then like I'm not going to be there until Christmas, and so like when are we going to watch episode 4? And I'm like, well, we'll have to figure it out. But
who likes Star Wars?
Yeah. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
Little weird this week in that I'm now into my custom stuff for my eBay listings. So, custom GI Joes, which it's a little bittersweet because it's like, oh yeah, I made all this stuff and now it's going to go away. But hopefully, the people who end up buying it, hopefully, enjoy it. That's all I can ask.
Yeah.
Beard, what are you listening to?
My stepdaughter is watching If, the movie with Ryan Reynolds and the guy from The Office, Jake Krasinski.
Oh, the better choice for Mr. Fantastic.
What?
Damn.
What's wrong with Pedro Pascal?
I like Pedro Pascal, but he does not look like.
Have you seen him with the white streak?
Not yet, but he's kept his little mustache, didn't he?
What's wrong? Yeah.
Matt's like, what's wrong with little mustaches? I don't know. I thought he was I feel like he literally looks like he was born to play Reed Richards.
John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you had him there and available to use him, and then you don't, especially because he wanted to do that and his wife wanted to be Sue Richards, you had that, you had it, and you shit it down your leg. You shit it down your leg, Feige.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think Pascal is going to do a good job.
Well, you can think in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster.
And yeah,
Wow.
Wow,
I don't-
wow.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't have a problem with the Reed Richards having a mustache. Johnny Storm's got a mustache now.
Who does?
Johnny Storm.
In the comics?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can see that though. Johnny Storm's a mustache.
You read a good chunk of that run. I got to let you.
I mean, Reed's got a beard, a whole ass crazy beard.
Yeah, I like the beard. I just sometimes Pedro Pascal's got his mustache feels a little pervy. It's got that little pervy face.
That's more of a you thing.
Hey, yes, it is.
Ah.
What was it? Someone was said in one of the Bim Bam episodes where Griffin, it's when he's wearing his magical pervert outfit. You look like Jamiroquai's dad. You look like a magical pervert. Hey Griffin, when you put that on, did you immediately grow a finely coiffed mustache? That's what I'm talking about.
Look, I don't know. I like the it reminds me of the of Cesar Romero's Joker.
I mean, yeah, it does. That's fine.
Where it's like, hey, I have this mustache, and screw you, it's not going.
Screw you, asshole!
I will get freaking grease paint stuck in this thing every time I play this character rather than shave it off. So go to hell.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I'm always gonna be like,
Yeah, all right. You can be. Yeah.
I'm allowed to be about it. I think he's a great actor, though. So I know his acting is going to be top notch. You know, I can't see him playing. I can't see it being bad.
I mean, I can, but I'm.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, in the movie, maybe not his performance. I just don't have faith in, the MCU anymore. So.
Really? Wow. Did you not like Agatha all along?
I enjoyed Agatha all along, but
that's not the MCU.
I mean, it sort of is. There's just been enough stuff where it's like, I just and that's better for me to go into the stuff with that mindset, because then I don't care if it sucks.
That's fair. I mean, it truly is. I'm just kind of. I try to look at it as the MCU. I'm like, I hope it's really good, but I don't care. If it's bad, I'm like, it's still something I can look at and have my my inner child go, this is fucking incredible, because I never thought we'd ever get this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, did any of you either of you or anyone else, the people in chat, watched any Secret Level yet?
No. I've not.
I will say this. I've only watched 2 episodes. I watched the Warhammer 40K one, which was really good. And then I watched the D&D one, which was fucking fantastic. It was really good.
Oh, interesting.
I
have not heard of this. I'm just reading about it now.
The fact we get a dwarf monk made me really happy. We get a very, very pushy halfling mage, a very cool half orc druid, and a really, really, really neat Goliath paladin as kind of the primary characters. And then it basically, it seems like this might have been taken directly from the Horde of the Dragon Queen stuff. It's really good. I enjoyed it very much. I like it very much. So Yeah, I watched it last night and enjoyed it. And plus, the episodes are like 18 minutes long.
Nice.
But I will say, if you do not enjoy 40K, you will not enjoy that 18 minutes. And if you don't at least have a passable knowledge of what 40K is, you're going to go, well, that was cool, but I have no idea what the fuck I just watched.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. It's neat, though.
That sounds great. Well, what else? What else are we talking about? What should I? Which the beacon had been lit, so I didn't know. Can I help?
Well, you said you were interested in
I am. I'm always interested.
What do you got going on, baby?
Well, we did our first session in that setting, the Seasong Islands, and fun as hell. It's like I love how open it is, like using those different handbooks, and then they have kind of like a suggested kind of like setup for an adventure in the Isles, but it's like really, really open. It's like the entire thing is basically I don't know, 6 pages long. That's it. So it basically sets up a kind of like an overview, and then like who the other kind of groups participating in this event are, and like a beginning, and then like generally the outcomes they're supposed to do, but like no like order, no nothing, and then like different conclusions depending on how they like fare in comparison to the rivals. But like it's really super open-ended, and the rest is like basically up to you with your game master's your guide to the Seasong Islands, and then they have like all of this kind of general knowledge that helps them navigate and like forage and do other things to basically like complete these different kind of like initiatives. So yeah, super interesting, very fun. I've also been thinking about just like generally the group that put out the handbook with the Christmas themed classes, that like 5 Christmas themed classes that I ran my now that's what I call Christmas Volume 10 session for Extra Life this year, are putting out an addendum with 5 more classes and like another little adventure on Kickstarter. And I think it's ending it was ending before Christmas. That's all I knew of, because I was like, oh, I want to still like look and talk about it over the holidays, because I've been thinking about running a Christmas themed group to get me through the next year.
I mean, that's understanding. I know that that can be a tough thing when you're like, I need it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. I haven't done a Kickstarter in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been I've been really selective because I ordered something for Greta like last summer for last Christmas, and it's like gonna miss this Christmas again. And that hasn't happened in a really long time. I mean, most of the things that I back have been phenomenal, and like whether it's on there or if it's on any of the other platforms, it's been really really good. But yeah, that just kind of sticks in your craw,
Yeah.
So I've backed more kind of stuff through like Itch.io or BackerKit that like they're doing directly, like the last what's it called? The last like lore building, like those builder decks that I've used. That most recently just like forewent Kickstarter altogether and did like a something directly on BackerKit. And it was basically like, hey, we're putting this out. We were going to put this out, like it's built off of all of these previous things. It interacts with them, but we just don't want to go through Kickstarter. It's just not not the kind of way that we want to function. So I was like, okay, yeah, awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So so that was great. And yeah, I just mostly I'm just thinking about all of the things that we've been talking about and trying to figure out like what I have passion for and what I have like interest in doing, and just trying to be kind of like honest about how much time I have to give and like how much energy I have for different things and like what kind of energy I have. You know, do I have like podcast energy for it? Do I have streaming energy for it? Do I have like hanging out in the mud pit, you know, energy for it? Do I have, you know, getting together once a month with friends energy for it? And yeah, I just been kind of noodling that around with all the different things that we've kind of put out there, so I can start thinking about what 2025 looks like, because there's a lot of exciting stuff on the table, and I want to make sure like I'm energized for all of the things I say yes to. But
I think you're
Yeah.
pretty good though at saying yes to things that you can do and then not putting yourself in positions where you are crunched.
yeah,
You're one of the best people I know about that.
I actually just had a really great conversation. This kind of ties into the kind of question you had about like motivation. Like I had a great conversation with a colleague of mine that works for kind of more of an institution. And he's probably 10 years older than me, and I've known him for, probably 20 some years. And we had to talk about all of that kind of, like, I really had to work on it because I grew up, you know, like a people pleaser, you know, like I wanted to make sure I got things right. And I was really, you know, that was just kind of so much a part of my personality. And I literally took like 3 years after grad school when I realized I was like overcommitting or kind of, you know, being a workaholic as a result of all that. And I like took a year and said yes to like everything, because I was like, I'm already doing this. Like, am I really saying yes to everything when people are like, you're taking on way too much? So I said yes to everything for a year. And then I said like no to everything for almost an entire year.
Holy shit, man. That's a lot.
It was a lot. And I like kept track of these things at the time. I don't know if I still have all that, but and then I had like a year of like fuck yes and fuck no. And in which, like, if it was something I really wanted to do, I would like say yes, but I would also like very explicitly say why I think I'm a good fit for it. Or like I would lay everything out. It'd be like, here's my dreams for this thing. Here's where I think it could go. Here's, you know, why I think this is a great ask, like of me particularly, and here's like who else I think could contribute. And for the no's, I also said like, hey, you know, I think you're asking me because you're thinking of this, but I actually think that I do this. Or, you know, I think you're asking me because we're friends, and I don't actually think that I'm the best person for this. And like, you know, I'm happy to say yes because I'm excited about it, but I actually think this person would be a better fit. Or, you know, I just basically said like, I think you're, you know, under-resourced, or I think you're like overestimating the, you know, the potential of this project. But yeah, I mean, that took 3 years just to like try to rewire that in my brain so I didn't feel guilty when I said no to something. Because I, you know, I mean, right, like, you know me and you know my brother, right? Like I think it's hard for both of us to say no. And I think it's really hard to like divest from having to say yes, or feeling like you have to say yes, because I still feel guilty about it, even though I've worked on it for a decade now. I mean, I realized that the other day. Like, I moved back at the end of 2011, so basically 2012 to 2014. No, it's been 10 years since I did those 3 years. So I mean, it's and I'm still not good. I still say yes to some things that I shouldn't, you know, or I kind of overestimate my ability. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate the compliment. It's something that I think takes a lot of effort to say no, you know.
No,
But-
it does. You're not wrong on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny
Yeah.
had to like break a couple times before, and it's still something that she fights too. So,
Yeah.
even having, broken.
So
Yeah, I think it's really hard.
Yeah.
I generally feel like I do okay. I am very confident about what I can do and what I can't. And if I can't do it, I just say can't do it.
Yeah.
But I know it's very hard.
I mean, I'm more the opposite. No is my default.
No, I can, Matt. I can believe that.
But
But that's good though too, because I think when you say no, you are doing so in a way where you're putting yourself in a position to be successful and not lose the battle of like having everything.
yeah,
makes
but
sense?
there's, I mean, and there's, which is, I struggle a little bit because there's am I, missing out on stuff that I would have
The
enjoyed.
FOMO.
see promo.
And so that's, kind of, the balance I'm trying to strike. And I feel like I'm usually too far one way. But I also just know that if I go too far the other way, I'm going to start letting people down or pissing myself off.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's something I think that is the best we can do. And I think that sometimes you hit and sometimes you commit and it's great. And sometimes you go, oh man, I really fudged up. Like to me, the most, maybe not the most recent, but the most glaring is when you originally were like, I'm gonna run Domains of Dread, and I was like, oh, I want to play with all these people, and then like I kept like thinking about it, and I was like, this is not my type of game. Like, and I was like, let's do whatever you want with that character because I just don't, like I made a whoopsie.
I made a boo boo.
I made a
But you have to remember though, look at that though. You made a cool character, and that character is still,
part of the lore. Yeah. And and that was it, right? I said like, well, it's not because I am not creative enough to play in this setting or because I don't feel like I, fit
Just
in.
way outside your comfort level.
Yeah, it was way outside my comfort level. And I was like, well, like this could be impactful and make this a better experience, perhaps, or a different experience than somebody has experienced before, starting off with, basically a character dying in episode 1. I mean, that's very different than, what you get. Especially I would say, from someone like myself was very, very involved at that point. It was kind of a what, so
No, I would agree with that.
But yeah,
it's always, I do think it's hard to not overstretch yourself. I think it's really difficult. But I think you do a good job of it.
Thank you. The story engine is the one that used BackerKit. Their Lore Masters deck, which might be coming before Christmas. It's going to be coming by the end of the year, but that's they've done such a good job. Peter Chikowski, they're up in Canada, and I know that they had challenges because the Canadian Postal Service is like on strike right now.
Yeah.
So ain't nothing getting shipped to Canada, but they're shipping out of Canada. And so thankfully the fulfillment centers in the US. But that's really exciting that, that's coming out because I've just loved those decks. And I really would like to, I'd like to play more in the sandbox of creating something like that story or the the guides to the whatever, I would love to do a guide to Drakewind Falls and just like the setting, because we with microscope, we had multiple lenses that were just flora and fauna. So Worrier and Christy and Nate and Joel just creating these like brilliant, these brilliant, kind of very real things. I think it'd be pretty fun to shift and try that for a little bit. But yeah. So yeah. That's the straight poop from this guy. But
That's the straight poop.
yeah. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the kind of start. We kind of got everything set up for this next session that's going to be this week, which I'm really excited to play one more time before the break. And just the resourcing of that guy just feels like such a good, almost like the old like gazettes, gazetteers. But yeah, the kind of overview is their team is participating in this hunt for the golden feather, and they have to create works of art or song to impress this god of music and creativity that like the kind of inhabitants of this kind of series of islands worship. And they have this. There's the Sea Song Islands have this festival of feathers every year, and they kick it off with this hunt for the golden feather. And it has various adventurers, and this is the first time adventurers have been invited in. But because they have been traveling through the archipelago as musicians, their reputation precedes them, and so they are entered this year. And yeah, so it's cool. They got to like go around to some of the islands and check out the different. There's like a lot of mountain peaks. It's very, maybe Pacific Islander, or I'd say it kind of leans more on that in terms of the setting, maybe than the Caribbean. But yeah, really, really fun. So they got to meet some of the NPCs and to kind of understand that like music is really sacred in this place. So it was like such a fun find for this group to make this transition from their kind of initial thing into something that would be kind of a fun stop off. But yeah, it was just it was fun to run from something like that. That's not like just read the thing and then they do the thing and then you read the thing and then you do the thing. But not also just like having to create everything from scratch, but being able to like riff off of, a really solid outline. I mean, I think very similar to how we probably both run at this point. It's nice to have these prepped touchstones and NPCs and kind of mini arcs that we could kind of fall out into. But
not situations where you've got to figure everything out. Where instead it's just like I have high points.
Absolutely,
I would like us to touch upon, but that's it.
Yeah. So. Just a total hoot. I'm very, very pumped. So,
well, I know we talked about doing it, and maybe the new year will be the time to do it. Is doing like just some world building from scratch.
Yeah,
once a month on here. But yeah, I think
I'm super into that.
I kind of figured you might be. One thing we talked about like last week was doing a game where they're all playing weapons.
Yeah,
like from the beginning, but doing it in like short arcs.
Yeah.
So I also think that's interesting when like you can have folks have altering or alternative endpoints where they're just basically saying like we can help one another, but what I'm really looking for is my ending is this. You know what I mean? Like I want this as where I'm headed.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I feel like I'm not making any sense.
No, I think that makes a ton of sense. I think that makes a ton of sense. I mean, to me, I enjoy that part of it so much that yeah, it's really, and it's a treat to like be in that brain space together because I think that yeah, it's fun. To be honest with you, I just like I like collaborating with people, and I think that I get that so much when I'm playing. But I think that when I'm running, but I don't get it because I don't play. You know, if that makes sense. So I really like that that kind of sense of um, yeah, of everything. So
That makes sense.
yeah. Also, I have to say, like the company that created this like Seasong Islands, F or RNW, it's a woman named Rose, and she works a lot with this guy Niels. They have like or he has a Patreon, and they've created a lot of stuff together. But yeah, r-n-w.net, just like tons of stuff, and they've done. They do all sorts of like beautiful art and like alternative themed player sheets and character sheets and all sorts of stuff. So very, very fun, very cool. So
It is interesting. I that's the thing too, is to keep in mind, like, if I'm not a huge fan currently of what
the people.
WotC and all that bullshit is doing.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But then let's just
do our own thing.
Yeah, let's help other small creators do their thing.
Also, I know that I got this for you last year, but the company that did the that like games Omnivorous that did like Undying Sands and the Bottled Sea and the Hex Crawl, that like toolkit, the like yellow thing that I got you, created a new one called the Boreal Frostlands that literally looks like it's taken out of what Worrier created for the Drakewind setting. Like his whole like Bekugul, like Dragonborn and Minotaur, like northern Frostlands. Like, and it's the same artist. It's Sarah's friend Kevin Cannon did all the stuff. He does like the State Fair posters. So yeah, they're doing another setting. So yeah, so in addition to the Bottled Sea and the Undying Sands, and then all of the like general ones that are in the original toolkit, they're doing one that's going to be put out next year. And that's funny because it's like I don't know how they found him, but they like hired him to do this, and it is. What I'm trying to remember where they are, but they're based somewhere like in Europe, and I can't remember if it's like Poland or it's like I don't know how they ended up finding. Oh, Portugal. They're in Portugal.
Oh,
but yeah, it's so incredible. It's Andre and Adriana. They're a couple that are based in Lisbon, and then Kevin's here in Minneapolis. They have two other in-house graphic designers that also are in Portugal. And then they have another guy that I can't remember where he's been, but he's won like any awards, which are
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, basically like game creation awards. And yeah, just so cool. And they're all super active on like Blue Sky and stuff too. So it's been fun to like fill out some of my following there to like diversify, just because I followed a lot of like local, politics, things that I couldn't get on the, the old Burba place. And so it's been just kind of a lot of like me as a person and, kind of active civic member. But yeah, it's been fun to be like, and also, this is called Ply the Murky Depths. It's a rules for fishing and the frontier.
Like that's amazing. Yeah, that's I mean, that my only concern with stuff like that always is like how many subsystems does a a game needs. So I'm always like trying to walk the thin line of like, am I nailing a bunch of subsystems onto a game? Because I also feel like when I do that, it slows the game down a little bit. And unfortunately with like D&D, you can't grind it down any further than
Yeah.
it already is, unfortunately.
No, these are all kind of like a very specific thing. Like they do a lot of like just like the one-off games and the journaling games type of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's kind of where my brain has gone of
Yeah.
late, is like these smaller, like I don't know what the words I'm looking for right now.
No, I love things like that. That's one of some of the things I backed on, like Itch.io and Backer Kit are smaller things like that, where it's like the one that did the Dragon Dowser game, Hatchlings, and the ones that they also did the American Sign Language based game. They put out a new kind of solo or duo journaling game that's going to be out in the new year called Bow. It's like a solar punk card game, but it is like focused on, you know, the same kind of setting, this kind of archipelago stuff. And so we did Dragon Dowser with my group when we were doing Drakewind as a kind of jump between having Warrior on the team and then these new characters. And so, you know, in the new year, like when we kind of wrap this, you know, Seasong Island things up, we'll probably do this like solar punk card game as like a way to like just like, hey, you know, we're gonna get together and we're gonna do this and we're gonna like hang out and, you know, like have some food and you know, and drink and then we'll do this, and this will be like, that'll be like a session. We'll like do that as a means to like having a little vignette between you know, that isn't months of me, you know, being excited about playing Microscope and maybe not everybody else wanting to play it for months.
Hey, you love what you love, man, and you love Microscope.
And I love it. I do. I love Microscope. And I've been thinking about also running Microscope like it's meant to be run, where you actually do the little like role-playing vignettes and just seeing how it goes.
That seems much more like the Quiet Year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Which I think, is that also a Ben Robbins game?
Oh, I don't know.
For some reason, I keep thinking it is.
Yeah, Quiet Year is like mapping, right? Oh no, that's Joe McDonaldo.
No, Quiet Year is both mapping and like, this is what happened in this year before the world ends.
Yeah,
the world as we know it ends.
Amazing.
Which I highly recommend, those first 5 episodes of Ethersea, when they use the Quiet Year to build their world. It's fascinating.
That's the one that
watching them
brothers
build. Yeah. Watching them build a world and then try to figure out how they were going to use like spells, but spells were also going to be technology instead. So it's like,
yeah, that's
doing
awesome.
things like their armor is an armor. It's like hard light construct. But it's, you know, I love that series too. I thought it was great. The idea that the world is now, everything has to move underwater because the surface is destroyed. And it's got enough dumb McElroy stuff in it. When Justin says, well, there's a giant boat that they're building, like an ark. Okay, well, what's the name of the ark? It's the Big Baby. Justin. Well, I could have called it the Biggest Baby. So, you know, that kind of dumb shit where it's like there's still enough dumb shit involved in it. But like, he invented an entire slang for his character.
Dang.
You know, that they had like, he would say things during the game and they'd have to go, hey, Justin, what is that? What does that actually mean? It's slang for this. And they're like, it was super cool because it made sense for their character. That their character had this slang because of what they did before the end of the world. Which is fascinating, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when you sit down and you throw, because like even trying to run in Planescape, I tried to use some slang from those Planescape books, but even though I gave the players like, here's the sheet, here's like the main slang, they looked at it and they were like, I'm not doing this. Which I understood why, though. It was just too much.
Yeah, it can be a lot, and sometimes it just feels really, it's like
It feels
you know,
goofy.
well, yeah, the Marvel 2099 stuff where it's we're just gonna change all the swear words, and it's like, okay, this is goofy.
Yes. Yes, this is very, 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 it feels very, 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 very much like it was nailed onto something. And it doesn't feel like it makes sense or that it works.
Well, or even just like, I don't, like, okay, so shock is now the universal swear word or whatever. How did, I can't imagine how that happened. I don't see language evolving in that way. The rest of the language is fine. Or the same, but we're gonna say shock instead of fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I don't get that.
There's always gonna be weird shit like that. I thought
there is, and then it is what it is. But there's better ways to do it, and in the Adam Warren Dirty Pair books, which take place in the future. A lot of the slang and language there had actually the rest of the language also changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of stuff, he was kind of building it off of what he was seeing in chat rooms and on the internet and stuff, where it's like, oh, we're gonna, marketing. It's like, oh, well, people are going to use fewer vowels. They're just going to be implied, we're going to get rid of this stuff because it's going to be, and that read truer to me than, everything's going to be the same except for this word,
Yeah, I was yesterday. Doug hung around and we watched Yogcast, and we watched their Christmas stuff where they generally just sit and watch terrible videos and make fun of them. And they did one where someone had taken the opening of Skyrim and changed all the language to millennialisms. And it is like listening to a Batman Beyond language. And I'm just listening to it going, here's the thing. It's like, I know people talk like this.
Yeah.
Every fucking day. Every day there's people talking like this on the internet. Well, but I don't understand why. But now I'm too afraid, but I'm too old and afraid to ask. But I mean, that's the thing though. It's like, that to me is fascinating and could be an interesting part of, world creation or, anything for that matter. But I'm also just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, what are you going to do? It's the kids. It's not me is wrong. It's the children.
Well, they get to dictate where things are headed. So yeah, you might as well just.
God, I don't. But I'm afraid, Matt. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of Americans, and I'm afraid of their children.
I mean, everybody's been through that, and it's gone okay.
Has it, Matthew? Has it?
I mean,
I love how you're like, maybe.
It's definitely stuff that hasn't gone great, but I don't think it's. I mean, you can look at the people in charge right now, and you can see it. There ain't no kids in charge of that shit.
I do completely agree with your point. Yeah, I don't know, man. I find stuff like that interesting, and I always find you can tell who's really good at what they do by how well they write things like that, without having it come off like so bad.
Yeah,
because I mean, I think I was watching the Charlie Day. I can't think of his name now. The guy who does the Obi-Wan channel where they watched Star Wars as Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and with deepfake and Anakin, but they all sit on the couch and watch these shows. which are I find it to be very funny. And the deepfakes are pretty good. And the guy who does it's got he especially nails Obi-Wan's voice. I mean, just nails it. But they were talking about like making fun of Skeleton Crew about the word wizard, I think is what it is. God, I'm so old.
Yeah, that's
Anakin's just like making fun of Obi-Wan about, oh yeah, you're gonna start saying that now because like hip, you're with it, you're one of the kids. He's like, well, I mean, I can't help but notice that the entire time we've watched this show, you've been wringing your hands because it's a show about children. And I'm sure you're want to murder them is off the charts. And it is like a lot of that show is like them making fun of Anakin wanting to kill children. Oh God. Because it's an Anakin they grew out of his leftover arm from Mustafar in the bathtub. I don't know why I find that so stupidly funny, but I do. But yeah, like I think that like that in Star Wars, that's like weird, jizz and all that.
Yeah.
It shows how weird that space is for language, I guess. Does that make any sense?
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
I just love that you went, no, not at all. No,
yeah,
that's some bullshit, Ben. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop using
no,
words.
I mean, yeah, it is interesting when some of that stuff, just see how that stuff develops, and with different ways. Anytime you're trying to create languages, it's always going to be tricky, especially if you're still going with mostly just English.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just the stuff that tends to I guess, yeah, like for Star Wars, it seems like there's just less for a sort of universal or a polyglot sort of language. There's a lot less words that we don't recognize than there probably should be.
Oh, that makes sense.
There would be I feel like there would be a lot more things that had, were not based in basic, so to speak.
Yeah.
That had just gained traction. Because, I mean, look at how much of, like, English is just random, European and Latin and whatever, mashed up and friggin' changed over the centuries or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think that's always really interesting too. Is like, I think like the language of fantasy worlds and all that is super interesting because it's like how do you make rules, but then you can break all of your rules?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the rules don't really end up not mattering.
Well, and you also can't go too far up your own ass. I think that was some of the problems. Yeah, we made all this stuff, we thought about all this stuff, and now you're going to look at it. As opposed to, like, Fury Road, where it's like, yeah, we envision all this cool stuff, we know how it makes sense, it's there in the background, enjoy.
Yeah, it's not the be-all of the story.
We're not going to make you, we're confident enough in what we're doing here. We're not even confident. So, like, yeah, it's like we made this cool stuff. It's incidental to the story we're telling. As opposed to, we made all this cool stuff. Screw the story. You need to know how much work we put in.
Yeah, I find there's a lot of that, unfortunately.
Oh, absolutely. And I get the it's a, I understand why people fall into that pit, because yeah, you did put a lot of work into it, but it's if it's a pretty story you're trying to tell, then you need to.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you do with that? Because you don't want to just, I guess, ignore it, but at the same time, it's like when you have these things where they end up superseding the entirety of the story for whatever reason. when you're like, oh, but I don't, that was never the point. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I mean, fake language is always I find interesting, but I also I'm not like the biggest Tolkien guy, so I don't know. Beard, you're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I'm back. Hello.
How's your beautiful mother doing?
She's good. My nephew was sleeping over there, and originally we were going to venture forth today and maybe do some cookies out there or have an adventure. But with the weather and the roads and just like generally wanting to be ready for the next week, we were like, yeah, let's maybe better safe than sorry. So they were just calling because they had a lull in the action and wanted to get in touch. So I said, okay. So, yeah, it was great. Also, can I say, speaking of Tolkien, just real quick, we just finished the Council of Elrond. We've read The Hobbit out loud. We're in book 2 of the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, man, I just forget how good it is, and honestly, how good the adaptation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is, the movies.
They're real
like
good.
some of the pieces, like we just got to the point where Gandalf uses the dark speech in Rivendell, and the scene in the movie where like his voice starts booming, like it did in the Shire, and and then Elrond like chastises him, like never before has the dark speech has been used in Rivendell, and he's like, I won't beg your pardon. It's like that's like verbatim from
It's
the
listed for reference from both.
yeah. And it is like the visual of like the darkness, like the cloud passing over Rivendell, is like done so well in the movie. It's like it's so fun to kind of read it aloud and be like, oh god, that's such a good like when we're like, yeah, we really got maybe it's not completely accurate, but it is real fucking good.
Yeah, it's very good. What they chose to do is
They've
perfect.
done well. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anything they could have done better than what they did, except for maybe Tom Bombadil being in it, but that's a personal thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I can't hate on what we did get though, because it's really good.
It is a treat. It is a gift. That's what she was like. God damn.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, we weren't. I felt like we were never going to get that.
Yeah.
For us big dork kids when we were growing up, you had the Ralph Bashki. Is that how you said that name?
Bashy?
Bashy stuff.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh god, this is so. I remember the first time I saw that.
Yeah.
Like I was at a friend's house who ran our Fast Rip game, our Marvel Fast Rip game, and that was on in the background, and I'd never heard of it nor seen it before. And they were like,
that's right. If you don't like Bombadil, you can find the Bombador.
That's right. Spike knows.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere Colin is gripping his chest.
Is Colin not a big Bombadil fan?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Are you just fucking with me?
No. Does he not like Tom Bombadil?
He makes fun of him constantly. Colin and I have gone to verbal war over Tom Bombadil.
Oh, I read the books like once, but I was never like my thing when I was younger, and so like I never had like a great affection. And then like with him not being in the movie, I was always kind of like, okay, well, I guess I don't, like it's not essential to me, so I always stay out of that conversation.
Yeah, I better call somebody.
Like,
just don't call Colin because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Dang. Darn.
No, he and I go back and forth on it all the time.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's usually in our chat online too. Like,
that's funny.
He thinks Tom Bombadil is dumb. I think Tom Bombadil is a wonderful show of what Middle Earth was and is now dying.
Mm.
that it's died so much that Tom Bombadil can't even remember.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And so yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that's helpful. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the thing about the and I don't know if this is factual or not, but that people have asked Tolkien if the orcs were the Nazis, I think, or something like, I can't remember. It was something to do with that. And he said, no, if the orcs, if I was doing an allegory for modern society, everyone would have been orcs. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Hey.
Our boy JR is not a fan of modern society. Let's just put it that way. He was never a dude who was going to be like, well, let me go get my grande from Starbucks and then we'll be able to have this conversation about language. That's just not. That was never his jam. Was never going to be his jam.
I feel that.
And that's
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Yeah, Colin and I spar over that all the time in a playful way. Sure, I threaten him sometimes, but that's just how I play.
Yeah, it's like me and the community in B-Wings, like
yeah.
We can make our jokes, but in the end, they're essential.
Yeah. I mean, they just know they're wrong, and they have to live with their wrongness. And that's just how the world works.
And that's unfortunate for them, but
But that's life.
Sucks to suck.
Sometimes you got to learn the hard way that Tom Bombadil is a fucking magical creature, and that B-Wings are a backbone of the Rebel fleet.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. So versatile.
It is very versatile. Matt, do you have a hill you want to die on before we start to wrap up?
Not that I can think of. No, I mean, there's definitely hills I'll die on. But
that is a great ending to a podcast or stream, by the way. Like, what's the hill you're going to die on this week?
Yeah. There's no dreadnought lore you want to be like, listen, motherfuckers.
There's definitely dreadnought lore.
Give us a
deep cut. Give us a hot G.I. Joe take.
Yeah.
Hot G.I. Joe take.
Because I mean, literally, when it gets into deep G.I. Joe lore, I know nothing. I know less than nothing. I'm always like, is Destro a black dude? Is he Scottish? I don't know.
He's Scottish, but he was voiced by a black dude.
Even his helmet, like he looks like his facial expression on that helmet looks like a black dude.
Yeah, but he's got a bare white chest.
That's true.
I don't know. If he was wearing some fucking tight ass shirt or something, I don't know his business.
They split the difference with.
I don't know Destro's dirty business.
Devil's Due. They had Destro's son who was biracial.
Oh, that's cool.
But I guess the thing with G.I. Joe that I've come to believe is that the only thing Cobra Commander wants is to be proven is for people to think he's right. That's what actually drives him, because if you go by all the stuff in the comics, he could be functionally immortal. He has his own nation. And so like all of the stuff that he claims to want, he has, and then some. He just wants people to acknowledge that he knows best. And
so he's basically a comic book Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not about like, and it's not enough for him to force them to.
No, they have to come to it willingly.
Yes.
Can I share my hot G.I. Joe take?
Yes, sure. Please do.
I have always thought that Zartan is the greatest G.I. Joe protagonist and should have gotten far more time in the limelight.
Protagonist?
Yes.
I thought Zartan was an antagonist.
Not for me, baby.
Depends on the story.
Give me all the Zartan all the time. Because I think he's a protagonist.
Can you explain to me how Zartan is a protagonist, though, please?
I think the entire Cobra Civil War, like, Zartan's my dude.
That's the thing. I don't know. I don't have a dog in that fight.
He's actually a really interesting character in his way, because his whole deal was he's like a biker guy. We don't know how he got his
All the school
holographic
powers.
equipment or slash powers. That's never been. Well,
Mystical. He's mystical, baby.
Larry has never revealed it, which means
Oh, Larry!
it's really
But
never.
if Larry hasn't done it, in all honesty, I mean, I kind of feel like that doesn't count.
Yeah, there was the Dreadnoks Declassified miniseries the Devil's Due did, but Larry didn't have anything to do with that. So I don't know. I don't.
Oh, I never learned that.
Anyway, yeah, it's very. It's
Oh,
very,
if it doesn't come out of the mouth of old Lawrence Hama, it's not.
if he's
not
if
canon,
he,
baby.
he's this biker
Mhm.
guy. He gets hired by Cobra Commander to kill Snake Eyes, and
So yeah, why? But why does Cobra Commander want Snake Eyes dead? Is there like beef?
he blames
Because again, I don't know.
incorrectly. He blames Snake Eyes for the death of his brother. His brother was the one that actually caused the accident that killed him and Snake Eyes' whole family, because they were all killed in a car accident caused by a drunk driver who was Cobra Commander's brother. So he decided he wants
Come on,
Snake
brother.
basically as a result of that. So he hires Zartan to do it. Zartan goes to Japan because then figures out that's where Snake Eyes is.
As one does.
And
Where you be? That's where ninja shit happens.
he gets himself like it's kind of the maybe bullshit story of like the story that Hogan tells about how he was in training and they like
Let me
broke
tell
his
you something, dude.
he kept coming back.
It's not bullshit, brother.
Yeah, and he wrestled 372 days in a year because he traveled across the international date line. Anyway, yeah, so Zartan goes to Japan, gets him.
What was that? What's the guy's name who broke? It's a famous wrestler who claims broke his leg. It's a Japanese wrestler. I can't think of his name though.
Yeah, Zartan becomes.
It wasn't Zartan.
He becomes apprentice to the Arashikage Ninja Clan swordsmith by going through all the stuff because he's like, hey, I want to be your apprentice, and the swordsmith is like, nah, screw you. And so he just like waits out in the cold for days on end without eating or anything until finally the swordsmith is like, okay, I'll take you on. And Zartan like finds his true passion and purpose in creating katanas, but Cobra Commander is still like, hey, I paid you, and I will tell them that this is why you're actually here.
Hey, Zartan, baby, you got my money.
Don't do this shit.
Zartan.
And so Zartan's like, shit, I have to like make this happen. Accidentally kills the Hardmaster.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
The Arashikage Ninja have masters. There's the Hardmaster, the Soft Master, Line Master, and the Faceless Master.
He also uses that same bow to kill Serpentor years later, baby.
It actually ends up he actually ends up getting convincing.
He kills Serpentor?
Yeah, he shoots him through the eye, dude.
Yeah, he shoots him through the eye.
Zartan's the man. That's what I was saying during Cobra Civil War.
And then the swordsmith is like, he goes back to where the thing. He's like, oh geez, I fucked up. Swordsmith. Like,
oh geez, Cobra Commander. I shit the bed.
You gotta forgive me. The swordsmith has already killed him. He has killed himself out of shame, but he's still alive enough to be like, yeah, I knew this.
He killed himself out of shame.
Yeah, because he's
like, oh shit, now I gotta kill myself because I caused this shame.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
My student killed this guy, and he's like, I knew that was why you were here. I thought you weren't going to do it, and that you were just gonna hang around with me and
my brother
in swords forever.
Oh shit, that's sad.
Yeah,
right.
And
I thought we was gonna be sword boys.
And then after that, Zartan goes, back to America or Australia or whatever, and hooks up with the Dreadnoks.
So yeah, is he Australian canonically?
French.
Zartan's French. Okay. Well, is he like Creole?
No, he's just from France.
We come from France.
He's just from France. He's from France.
But, I mean, there's a lot going on with Zartan that hasn't been revealed very well, because like we don't know anything about his upbringing of his his brother and his sister and all that stuff.
But those other dudes are like his kids, right?
No,
Like Zarana and
Xandar, they're
Xandar?
siblings.
Zarana are his siblings.
oh shit, I did not
He does
know.
have a kid though, right? Doesn't he have a daughter?
Yeah, he's a
In
dog.
the
That
Devil's
was much.
Due
That was
stuff.
much later than.
So
Yeah.
if you're going strictly by, again, which I do, the Hama continuity,
Hama.
Spike. Wait, what?
that stuff does not exist. He does not have a daughter.
Okay.
Yes, and it's like they were marketed that way. It's brother to Zartan or whatever.
Mhm.
So Matthew, can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
Can we like once a month just have Matthew's G.I. Joe Storytime Hour? I'm for real. Because I don't know any of this shit and I am fascinated.
This is like me listening to you guys talk about DC. I'm like, what? I am Spike in that conversation. Wait,
I've got to slap it up. I've got to find a place that'll take it because they're huge files. But I've got the PDFs from the recent Kickstarter, so that's all of the original Marvel.
lore. That's sick.
I mean, because I'm a lore dog, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm a lore dog.
Sheesh. God damn it, beer.
I just got a package delivered, so I'm gonna run upstairs. I don't know if you want to wrap it or you want to wait till I come back.
I'll wait till you come back. You can show me that package.
Yeah, we can just show us your pack. Show. Zartan I think is amazing. Yeah, he kills Serpentor during the Cobra Civil War, shoots him through the eye with his longbow that he also kills Hardmaster with. I was like big into the Dreadnoughts. That's like one of the things I love. Also, like all of their stuff had that the plastic that was like the same as like the shirts, where it's like UV. So like if you rubbed it and it was warm, it like turned blue. Like that was cool. Like, but like he was a master of disguise. He could like speak a bajillion languages. I think he was like a polyglot in the comic books.
He was a cool guy, man.
Cool, awesome stuff. All the like holographic disguises and stuff. I just thought it was like, oh yeah, they're a biker gang. It was like, no. They were so much.
That's the thing too. Like I always wondered, like, is the biker gang part of it just like a big ruse?
Part of it.
Or are they just for real bikers, but they're also like, hey, I'm a biker, but I also enjoy terrorism. And
they're just
anarchy.
Vigilantism, please.
They're just freelance shitheads.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in the cartoon, they're goofy as hell.
Yeah.
And don't really do anything. With the comics, they're terrifying. There was an issue of the comics where they're just like, hey, let's go for a ride. And they're literally like, oh, look, a truck full of hay bales. One of them cuts the straps. They fall over the road. The other one lights them on fire. They're literally just driving up and down the highway, murdering people.
Well, yeah, they're very much like Mad Max.
Yes.
Analogs.
And Buzzer has always been really an interesting character there because he's British, and probably from a well-to-do family. He was actually he's an anthropology student at Oxford who went to Australia to like do research on the biker
culture
gangs and essentially went native.
Interesting. So, quick question.
Actually played that up a little bit in the recent Cobra Commander series under the new Image continuity, where Cobra Commander kind of like reads him like right away, and he's like, "Oh, you're extra like cruel because you're a pretender, and you're worried they're gonna like."
Oh yeah, you're a fucking tourist.
Realize you're full of shit, and which then like causes Buzzer to like jam a knife into his thigh or something.
Because I was watching, I found a channel that I'm enjoying currently. It's like something Tours something, I can't remember. But he did a whole episode on the mole people of New York and how this woman had written this book about them and supposedly, and that how much of that book was bullshit, how much of it wasn't.
That was like the freaking Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
You
I just
know?
found it very interesting, like, because some people who believe her were like, oh, she just went native was all. She went down there and, people, can say all they want about her being full of shit, but I can't remember the guy's name now. Somebody who is known for their like ability to find frauds was like, oh no. She just went native. The things she talks about are too correct to be bullshit. And then a guy who did not believe her at all, who worked in city planning in New York, was talking about how like, well, all these things are wrong though. All this information is incorrect information.
Oh,
as far as like he works in city planning, I want to say, but
it's pretty.
But it was a weird juxtaposition because he also was very much like defending the city in a way that felt like bullshitty. So I don't know. It was an interesting video to listen to, and try to like parse out who was full of shit. But yeah, just the idea of these people living in the sewer system in New York, or not sewer system, the subway system. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where I got off on that. But yeah, it was interesting.
Can I just say? Oh, good.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things I also love about Serpentor.
Yeah, I was going to say, Matt, maybe you can explain. Like, I do not understand Serpentor.
You don't,
bro. He is.
No, I mean, I understand.
Like a super soldier.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I only know him, I guess, from the cartoon perspective, and I guess there's like apparently a lot more to it than that.
I mean, there can be, yeah. He was created by, Dr. Mindbender from the DNA of the greatest conquerors.
And?
Of the past. And in the comics, at least, Storm Shadow.
And
what?
Sergeant Slaughter.
Well, in the cartoon, yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, brother. This brother's gonna talk.
It's just like it's like all of the like Mindbender going on his thing, and like Julius Caesar and Attila the Hun and the Impaler and
one of the samples got damaged, but they had captured Sergeant Slaughter, so they're like, okay, let's throw him in there.
Yeah, we're just gonna throw him in the mix with
Yes. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a way to make it personal between your
So he's made out of all that, and basically
now it's like, yeah, whatever.
He was intended to be like a super soldier sort of deal, but they didn't use the DNA of the greatest soldiers. They used the DNA of the greatest conquerors. So immediately he's like, oh, this Cobra Commander guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I have led, like, I'm literally Alexander. I've got like Alexander the Great in me, and Genghis Khan and Napoleon and stuff. So it's like I know how to lead people. So immediately, the Cobras are like, "Oh, we should follow this guy because all we do when Cobra Commander leads us is lose." Which eventually leads to the Cobra Civil War. So initially, Cobra Commander is like, "All right, well, this sucks." And the Serpentor guy is an ass.
Fuck you. You're cool. I'm out.
But also, I found out that my son is still alive, and I'm kind of sick of this anyway. I almost just died. So I'm going to step back, which then leads one of the Crimson Guardsmen, Fred 7, to step into. He's like, no, Cobra Commander, you can't do this to me. I've devoted my entire life to you. I got plastic surgery to look like this guy, in your service. You can't just walk away from Cobra. Screw you, and shoots him.
Oh shit!
He survives, but he does. But and then so Fred puts on this armor that he had made for Cobra Commander and goes to Cobra Island. Is like, hey, I'm Cobra Commander, and they're like, I don't believe you. What And then the Baroness is like, well, I know what Cobra Commander looks like under his mask, so I can, like, I'll go. If you're willing to, show me your face, I can prove that you are who you say you are. And he takes off his helmet, and she's like, "Yeah, you're not Cobra Commander." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm screwed, aren't I?" And she's like, "No, let's do this."
He got treated like crap, right? By Serpentor. She was like
Yeah.
not one of Serpentor's dudes.
No. Yeah, and she's already kind of moving over into like Destro's camp a little bit more or whatever. So she's like, yeah, screw it. You're Cobra Commander. Yep, it's totally him. Which does lead to the Cobra Civil War because you've got this guy who not a commander, but he's they're like, oh, this is Cobra Commander. So you got these two different factions who kind of align themselves, and eventually the real Cobra Commander comes back and is like, you all suck, and I'm gonna kill you all.
Yeah.
All these guys who betrayed me. I'm gonna put you in this landlocked freighter ship that's on Cobra Island and bury it under a volcano.
As you do.
And most of them died in there. They were still alive. He just put them in there and buried it. And then most of them died from botulism, from bad rations.
Sick.
Damn.
No, Lincoln was not part of Serpentor. Super Spike. That would have been interesting. But
Yeah.
What did Spike say? I missed it.
Also, Abe Lincoln.
maybe Abraham Lincoln was part of Serpentor.
I mean,
I
hey.
think the list is Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Attila the Hun, Philip II, Alexander the Great, Ivan the Terrible, Vlad the Impaler, Hannibal, Genghis Khan, Rasputin, Montezuma, Geronimo, and Sergeant Slaughter.
And I think that's specifically the cartoon version. The comic version is a little bit different because I don't think it included Vlad and maybe a pharaoh of some kind.
They're a little more evil. I think that they could use people that they couldn't use in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like Hitler?
They didn't use Hitler.
Which is
Strange,
wild to me that they did not use Hitler.
I think that was
They just want to stay away from it.
A bridge too far.
yeah.
The best part about the Cobra
Well-
Civil War is when you read about it, it's literally just like Fred. So it's like Dr. Mindbender and Serpentor and Destro and Baroness and Zartan and Fred. Yeah, it was great.
Jesus Christ. See, that's the thing. This is why I need a goddamn
Shit's
game map. A G.I. Joe game where Matt is running some
just like
crazy
the
bullshit.
deep lore,
Yeah.
the deep water, dark water.
All right, so
Dark water.
Sunbow. Where's the comic version? Oh yeah, they had Sun Tzu's DNA, but it got damaged, which is why the
Comics
the cartoon version is more
Slaughter.
is more of a like egotistical and
Yeah, because I mean,
That's
Sun
like
Tzu.
a pharaoh almost.
Yeah, Sun Tzu wouldn't have tolerated that bullshit. He'd have been like, no, we're not doing that. No.
no.
Wow. Okay, I just learned so much. My brain is like on overload right now. So this is the thing. Like, this is like for me. I'm sure this is similar to when we talk about like crazy deep fucking DC shit.
Yeah, I just sit here and go, yeah, okay.
Okay,
Right.
so in the comics, it was Caesar, Napoleon, Attila, Alexander, Hannibal, and Genghis Khan.
Okay, it's all right. It's like this is like everybody sharing their Bloody Mary recipe. Oh my gosh.
So
Also,
weird.
if we're putting in orders for GI Joe chats, Tom X and Zaymot and the Crimson Guard, I would love to do one on that because there's all sorts of
Oh,
I just-
Crimson Guard was wild.
yeah. So we'll save that for a future,
Oh,
Joe
that Crimson Guard! The Crimson Guard would be wild and fool.
crazy. Crazy, man. Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, I always find that so I like playing in worlds where I don't like know all the business.
You can't just accidentally metagame.
Yeah, because I think that happens a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't think about it, and they do it because it's like a natural instinct.
Well, yeah, if you know the thing.
Also, I mean, there's a part of us, I think, all who is like excited to show off that we know this thing.
Yeah.
Dr. Midnight Bitters, I got standards.
Amazing.
I don't know, man.
Well, yeah,
I definitely, but I do want to play GI Joe at some point.
I
I was able to.
also,
I know there was a big Humble Bundle. I did not do it because I had a lot of it already. So there's a big old GI Joe folder in the Dropbox.
Heck
Just for Matt.
yes. Heck yeah. I have the Star Trek one that I think I put in there too.
Yeah, I've had a couple people ask me about doing Star Trek, and I'm like, I'm probably not your Star Trek guy. I know enough.
I'm not deep enough in the lore.
Yeah.
But I do love it.
Although I'm thinking about watching Blake 7 here pretty soon. Because I watched like 3 hours of deep cut information on Blake 7, and I was like, God, I really want to watch this show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it at all.
I'm aware of it, but I have not.
It's a British science fiction show that came out. It was running like during the 70s, late 70s. That has kind of has some Star Wars overtones and some Star Trek overtones to it. Like the symbol is like the same symbol as the Federation symbol turned sideways.
Oh.
Interesting.
And instead of the Federation being this like utopian thing, it's like a not a dictatorship, almost like an oligarchy, tyrannical government. And Blake is like a freedom fighter who doesn't even know he's a freedom fighter because his brain's been fucked up so many times. To get him out of the way, they basically accuse him of child molestation at one point to get him locked away. And he finally starts to remember who he is. And he breaks out with some other criminals, and then they go around the galaxy basically being terrorists.
Wow.
But it's apparently a very good version of like British science fiction. So I love me some British science fiction. So
I wanted to share since we talked about Ethersea, that the Ursula Le Guin's Earthsea. There's a Humble Bundle this month, and it's like all of it.
Yeah, she's amazing. Those books are incredible.
I also just like love her because when she won this kind of like, I think it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award from like this like large publishing like whatever I don't know what you would call it, like group. She just like lit them on fire basically. Like she got to the end and then she was just like, also go, and it was beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she has some amazing work, and again, it's one of those situations where if it was a different time, we would be talking about her in a lot of ways we talk about other artists.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But unfortunately,
yeah.
Meanwhile, we tend to not know about those folks because it would hurt the egos of certain people.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this. Let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah.
Where also, Dr. Mindbender, put a shirt on, please.
Oh, what's my hill I want to die on? Never put a shirt on.
Never
Dr.
put a
Mindbender.
I know you love his weird shirtlessness, and I do not understand it, Beard.
He is for his file card a narcissist. So in my mind, when he is not, when all the beakers and
in your mind, he's like the guy from Silence of the Lamb.
He's like when all his stuff all his stuff is working, he takes off that lab coat and he's over there doing freaking P90X or whatever the hell to maintain that figure, and he's going to show it off.
Hell yeah!
I always kind of think about him in the same like breath as like Hugo Strange.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I mean, his story is interesting too because
Hugo Strange meets John Cena.
He was a normal dude who was an orthodontist, and he was like, I'm going to try and make my patients feel less pain by experimenting on myself with this thing, and it turns me evil.
I mean, it's so Silver Age superheroes. I fucking love it.
It is. I feel there's ways you could tie it into to Joe and better. They never really pulled the thread on, but
oh god, what was the? I had something and then it just ran away from my brain. I'm sorry. I was like, there was this thing, and I was going to tell you, Matt. And I've been meaning to tell you for a little bit, and I totally just lost it. Got lost in our GI Joe sauce.
Mhm.
Where can people find you, beautiful boys?
You can find me on Blue Sky, Huey Beard Walks. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. I'm here most Sundays. I'm on Dave Wonder channel every other Tuesday, and I'm keeping my Instagram for the moment. We'll see how long I stick with it. But _customs over there.
I saw you post some pictures of some beautiful customs this week, man.
Wow.
I've been putting some. I mean, yeah, I got my Secret Swap stuff done.
They look great. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
I really liked your Mayor Cage a lot. I know
Thank
you were kind of like, eh.
I like it with the shackless arms that are not sold. But
Okay, that's fair. I thought it looked great, and your two members of the Shi'ar, I thought
Yeah.
were great. Truly inspired.
I was happy with those. Yeah.
You should be. They look amazing. Okay, well, I guess Beard, where we were on schedule to do Star Wars later this month. Not this Monday, but the next Monday, I believe.
The 23rd, I believe.
Yeah,
Is that back on?
I thought so.
Okay, yeah. I'm into it.
Unless you know something I don't. Please.
No, I know nothing. I say when
I know nothing.
I say I can do it. If plans change, I say when I can do it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Go with the flow, Holmes.
All right. I got this thing. I don't know what it is. It's eating out my back of my brain, and I've forgotten, and it's driving me nuts. But I'm gonna, rather than try to remember it and continue to spin my creative wheels into the ground, I'm gonna stop the show. We're gonna be done. We had a really good time. I had a really good time today. We talked about all kinds of weird shit, which I enjoy. Oh, I remember what it was. You know, technically, Matt,
Yes.
He-Man would be part of the DC multiverse.
Yes. Yes, you would.
So I was thinking about that, and I was like, "Oh shit! What would be some good things to use like He-Man shit with in our DC game?" Because I was like,
I mean, if you really wanted to play with it, you could. I mean, I guess I don't know if they've ever appeared together, but I kind of like the idea of Zodak just being Metron.
I do too, actually. I love that idea that it's just Metron being like
I'm gonna present myself here in a different form for Metron reasons.
Because I'm Metron and I do weird shit because I can, not because I want to, because I can. I think that was like an idea I was toying with as well for that. Do you know, is Metron another one of those multiversal constant folks?
I don't know that he is, but he can go between universes, I think, just fine. So
yeah, I was just trying to think, like, there is only one dark side.
That's a new thing.
Yeah, dark side is like a thing now they've made factual, like that there's not a multiverse full of dark sides. There's just one dark side.
Yeah, and I feel like you could, say, okay, like, I mean, Metron has been presented at kind of that level, but I think it would make more sense for it to just be like Metron and Highfather.
Are the other two would be in that?
Otherwise, why would you need a chair to go between dimensions?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. We're in total agreement here, Matthew.
Again, unless that's for Metron reasons, like, oh, I'm going to make you think I need this chair. I don't.
I'm not like Professor X. Really, nothing. I thought that was pretty good.
I hate Professor X. Magneto was right. Get you in your chair right the hell out of here.
I will not disagree with that. Professor X.
They have made one of these times we should do this, like, I think that we should just do a podcast called The Hill I Die On, and it should just be, like bad takes or hot takes or whatever. Has ever a hero or like altruistic figure fallen as far and done as heinous shit as him that isn't like a Mark Millar bullshit, you know.
Hal.
As
Hal
Charles Xavier, yeah, Hal Jordan.
Yeah, but they brought Hal back and he never went back to being bad, you know.
Yeah, because they said that, you know,
Because they realized they fucked up so terribly.
yeah, they're like, well, and they
But they just keep doubling down on Xavier. They're like, oh, Jean. Oh, also all of these other people. Oh, so how many people has he been? He's been with like 5 women, and they've all been. And he's done all these terrible, bad. He's.
Oh, yeah, he's.
garbage.
I do not disagree. I find him to be. They've made him pretty reprehensible as a character.
Yeah.
But I think that's been the thing with X-Men in general. A lot of, I mean, the character assassinated Cyclops a number of times, and
Yeah.
the only person who's kind of untouchable in X-Men is Wolverine. And I think some of it is like because they're like, well, he's already
He's
at
already
face value kind of a shitbag. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say the other. Yeah, you've got Niles Calder.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's a good one.
But again, that's retroactive continuity.
Yeah.
In that he's always have done that.
Yeah.
As opposed to Xavier, where he's like, I'm gonna keep doing new.
Yeah.
Shitty stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do everything and everyone dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway.
No, I mean, hey, like I said, I am all about us doing some fun stuff.
Yeah.
And doing some different stuff. And I think I have so much fun doing stuff with you guys that I'm easy peasy to do whatever.
Like a Sunday morning.
Yeah, I am easy like Sunday morning.
Or early Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
so I
gotta
mean,
go run some errands here. So wrap this up.
wrap it up, B. So you can find me here tomorrow night, Chaos Scar, if we have a game. I don't know yet. I'm guessing yes, but we'll see if we get people to who can make it. Things have been it's holiday season, things get weird. So we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say something else, and I just can't fucking remember anything right now. So sorry, it must not have been important.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I don't think I'm gonna bad at games today, but I don't know. I don't know. I might. You don't know. You're not my parent.
You're not my real dad.
You're not my real dad. And then I don't know the status of Meng. I don't know the status of Spoop. Colin is our retail daddy. Is been crazy busy. This time of year is just insane. Yeah, he's doing what he needs to do. So cheer him on. Love him dearly, but know that once things kind of get where he needs them to be, we'll return with a vengeance. But until then, gotta just make sure he knows that they're all in his corner, because I think would really like to know that. So
yeah, I think he's going to be down next weekend and a little over the holidays. So I said maybe we could do a Saturday morning hangs, depending on what his family stuff is.
Yeah, he was supposed to stop by a few weekends ago, and things fell apart for him.
Yeah.
He's just a busy guy. He's got a lot going on. So if you can, and you know where you can find him online, make sure to take a moment and tell him, hey, dude, you're doing good. We miss you. I think any support we can provide to good people is a good thing.
Yes.
Especially people who are working hard. And believe me, I know that man is working his ass off. So
yeah.
Other than that, yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us for a long time and listening to us die on hills.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll pedalcraft today. I say that now, and I've got Minecraft fired up, and I'm less than 3 feet away from that fucking peddler. So I will probably pedalcraft after this for a little bit. And if I know the thing, I'll give it to Beard so he can join.
Yeah.
Matthew, thank you as always. You're a magnanimous magnet of mirth. Beard, you're the best, buddy. You're the best. Around.